Um, We have everybody present except for Ms. Buck, who is not going to be able to attend tonight. Ms. Ossendorf is on her way. She's listening, or she'll be listening very soon to the discussion of the workshop and be doing this whenever she gets back here. Otherwise, everybody else is present, including Superintendent Wagner. Ms. Rosenwald, Ms. Roll, Ms. Tim, Ms. Bloomstead, and Ms. Chair. So you rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, good evening. We have an agenda in front of us. We would like to switch number 1 and 2 around. We have the SRO discussion, and they're here. And Ms. Ryder has graciously agreed to go to number 2 at the time. We have a motion to approve the agenda. The second. Motion by Ms. Bloomstead, second by Ms. Rowe. Any discussion, anything else? Everyone in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. All right, we'll start with the SRO discussion, and this Superintendent Wagner, are you going to lead us? Start with that, please.
We will invite our guests. We have Andy Van,
Come up to the owls right here that hear you speak. Front and center.
Here's our hot seat now. Yeah, this is not. We'll let you introduce Benjamin Riley McMahon, who is in fact our school resource officer at the high school, and one day we met in the middle school, and part of our conversation at first on the agenda was just to highlight what our school resource officers do, how they're supported by the community, how they're used within our schools. So we can take the highlights and then question from my.
I think it kind of came up because we have some new board members and it's just to get them up to speed and to the role that's our work plays in the school. And we can support that and make this taken by them.
My name is Nick Sather. I'm the Assistant Chief of Police for the City of Redland, and I used to formerly actually be in charge of the SROs. But I'll let them introduce themselves.
I'm Captain Brian Metling. I oversee the investigative unit for our police department. So the sergeant of investigations is the direct supervisor for our SROs. I just oversee all that. And obviously, those who don't know, I was an SRO for 4 years, so it's kind of a passion of mine. So once this meeting came up, I come up and offer any advice or any thoughts that I could give to the group.
Dan McMahon. I am the School Resource Officer at the Redland High School and at the Redland Middle School, and this will be my 4th year. Highlight of my day?
Or just the different activities that you engage in. That could look like in terms of different every single day.
Well, every day I start my day off greeting usually most of the students at the door. Usually how I start off my day. I usually try to say hi to all the students that I can. That's usually how I would start that off. That and going through like emails and things like that to see if we had any issues with any students in the community the night before, if it's on Monday, anything over the weekend, anything like that I need to try to address, or anything that could be worrisome for the school, anything like that. So I address that right away in the mornings. Yeah, and I just kick off my day and try to walk around the school and make sure that the building's secure. That's obviously my main point, is to make sure that the school is secure and it's safe. Throughout my day, could handle some criminal investigations, possibly if there's anything that's criminal that I need to handle. I don't usually handle anything that's, I guess, school policy or anything like that. Maybe ask the assistant, maybe stand by, and maybe do those types of things. Yeah, usually I walk around school, engage all the students, try to build relationships with all the students that I can, staff, or whoever's available in the hallways at the time, and it's kind of my day.
Can you maybe talk about what some benefits are to having an SRO in the school?
Well, you know, where we've always gone with that is basically is being visible. That's number one. And number two is obviously being available with the children and obviously building relationships. That's the biggest thing as an SRO that I found is kids learning more than just outside the uniform. So I think that's a main key for our SRO in public schools is building that relationship, bridging the gap between the community and officers, because a lot of these times these officers will be the spokesperson for the other officers working the street. So that's our number one priority is just building the relationships within the school with the kids. And obviously, you know, some kids have either had negative impacts with officers themselves or they've witnessed it them in the school to, again, bridge that gap. So that's number one for us. And like, we have the GREAT program, which kind of went away during COVID, and that's a gang resistance education and training. It's just another form of DARE. And we're trying to get that back into the middle school, and that's taught at the 5th and 7th grade level. So, and obviously kind of an informal mentor for the kids also is kind of a big key for our SROs. So building that gap between the community and officers and hopefully getting that education aspect back into the schools, which kind of went away during COVID. Dan is a great instructor. Jesse Umpers, who is now going to be our SRO at River Bluff, we just sent him to great training in Arizona. So we have 2 officers that will be able to teach great within the school district. So did that answer your question?
I mean, I do try to make myself as approachable as I can be. I try to make myself as available as I can be, and that's why I try to get out of my office as much as I can to engage the kids and that. So I'm always trying to make myself as available to these kids so that they can talk to me if they have anything they want to talk to me. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to pertain to law enforcement. Anything they want to talk to me that can open up that relationship with me. Try to bridge that gap, like you said, because I'm in a uniform and police are always seen as.
So our thought from our department, our SROs are not in the school to be disciplinarians. That's not our thought from our department at all. We want to have good working relationship with the kids, and that's why we're here.
Yes.
Yes.
What I would imagine a big piece of your roles is that Dan can also be a liaison between our district and the rest of the police force, because in an event, God forbid, you know, you've got boots on the ground, so to speak. You've got somebody here that can assist, because I think one of the things that keeps me awake at night, and, you know, I think I can speak for my fellow board members, is in the event of some catastrophic event in our district, you know, how are we gonna all work together? A, so that, you know, being as safe as possible, but B, responding to any sort of catastrophic event that may occur. So having somebody here who knows the building, who can relay information back and forth is also something, a piece of my mind as a parent and a board member, which is why we like you.
Yeah. And we've been having some discussions lately. I know we're going to be presenting Alice training on the 25th of August. There'll be a morning session at Twin Bluff and maybe an afternoon there. Either way, I know both entities are going to be getting that. And I'm an instructor in Alice, and I think that's kind of huge right now that we're getting the school district on board with that. You know, going forward, at least so your staff probably sees that, at least in an in-service on a yearly basis, what Alice looks like, whether you're doing an actual drill, but or at least just the PowerPoint, so staff has a concept of what Alice means. And then it'd be kind of nice to get Dan a little more involved in kind of that school safety type stuff. So, you know, just even your school safety plan, having the SRO involved in that process is big, I think.
What is that?
Alice, it's like a lockdown. And we're trying to, it's lockdown training, like an active shooter type training. And then we also went to an I Love You Guys presentation this year, a couple of us from the police department, and that's more of a reunification plan. That could be at, like during a critical incident or a non-critical, like you have a gas leak in the area where you have to take students to a different location. That is more geared to reunification. So hopefully we're gonna get that model paired with Alice as well.
And I guess, I mean, I haven't talked it, but one thing I kind of want to touch base on is you talked about the liaison thing. And really, I mean, Dan's job is also, I mean, to kind of bridge the school and the police department together. And by here, he lets us know what's going on here, so we know. And obviously we deal with students and, you know, parents and other things outside of school. And by having Dan in the school, he gets to know the kids, he gets to know the parents. And so when we have to deal with something outside, and this is kind of more for our benefit per se, but he then is able to, you know, identify the kid that was involved or go speak with them. You know, a lot of times we have a hard time getting a hold of the kids, you know, beyond school. You know, if they may not be home a lot, might have parent issues and other things going on. And Dan is able to kind of come and bring that to the table and bridge that here at the school sometimes, or at least have the knowledge of, you know, where they might be and how to get a hold of them and things like that. So it's a win-win. The SRO is a win-win situation for the school district and for us at the same time, because he really kind of brings us together and keeps us informed of what's going on and vice versa. There might be things that, you know, we find out. A lot of things are confidential, obviously, when dealing with juveniles, but there might be something going on outside of school. Dan finds out about it. He might not be able to tell somebody about it, but he might still be able to kind of deal with it confidentially here with the student, you know, or the parent or whatever it might be. And so in the end, it's really a win-win situation for everybody. I mean, obviously there's money involved, you know, budgeting and things like that, but yeah, I mean, it would be a huge loss if we didn't have an SRO. So.
Yeah, I don't think we're looking at
Yeah.
eliminating it. We have a new principal wasn't able to attend, I guess, tonight. Have you met him? Yeah.
I had a pretty long conversation with him already.
Yeah.
I met him.
You know, Dan's probably aware of this too. You know, we have so many people that, not so many, we have students that are going to the bathrooms during the day. His presence probably paid dividends to just show up at when it's time to go to the restroom. Vaping is another issue that we deal with. You guys know all that, but we have, you know, Mr. Kelly, Pat Kelly's, but you know, he can be only so far, or Jimmy Bumack, but having SRO out involved there in those areas where we have some problems at times will also pay dividends for us too. And we're hoping that we can, under Joshua's leadership, come up with some solutions and do that for our students to feel safe and want to be here and go to the restrooms or walk freely down the hallways without something happening. So.
Are you guys automatically brought in if there's like a drug-related issue? You know, or I wonder how that works specifically.
Typically, anything that could potentially be criminal, I'm usually brought in on it. So if it's something criminal,
Do you
I'd be
actually
brought in.
write citations here, or how does that work?
Yes, I can write citations, but we also have a discussion with the school. It's not just my decision. I'm not the one that always just makes a decision. So I'll talk to whoever it is that's investigating it, if it's the principal or assistant principal or whoever. We'll sit down and we'll discuss what the situation is. And then if a citation is warranted, a citation gets written. So
Sometimes it's more beneficial for the student to not have a citation and deal with court. So basically, what we do with our SROs is we try to have them work directly with the school administration and kind of have the school administration make more of that decision, to be honest with you, unless it's something we absolutely have to intervene in. But basically, our goal is to work with the students, work with the school, and figure out what's best for the child, or the juvenile, or whoever it is that we're dealing with. So, and then the SROs understand that, and so they try to work with the principal or whoever it may be, to try to come up with the best solution. Sometimes the best solution is not always a citation. Sometimes it's suspension or some sort of school discipline or whatever you guys deem, you know, necessary for the child. And then we will kind of push ourselves away from it, because it might be the best solution. So, and sometimes the other side of it is, you know, we can't resolve the situation and the administration can't resolve it. So then maybe they fall back on the dam and to deal with the situation. So we try to work with everybody as best we can.
yeah, it's not black and white, certainly.
Yeah.
Do you get involved in de-escalating situations with kids?
Yes,
Like,
if I'm needed.
if there's conflict?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times I guess the school administration would probably go in and try to handle it. And, I would maybe just stand outside the door because sometimes my presence could escalate it. So again, I follow the lead of the school. I will, obviously, if there's an assault or something going on, then I'd have to intervene because I don't want to see anybody get hurt, obviously. But if there's a issue in a classroom, a lot of times they may call me and I will maybe just stand outside the classroom. If that's what they want. Again, I follow the lead of what the school really wants and how they want to utilize me. But, yeah, again, my job is to make sure that the students and staff are safe. So if that's what it takes, then yeah, then I'd go there and help de-escalate if that's what's needed.
Any other questions?
I'm wondering what trends you're seeing internationally, like right now, Dan, we have you 1 day a week at Twin Bluff and the majority of the time at the high school. Are you seeing more schools provide this wraparound service where there's one SRO per school? It's just kind of a theoretical, what are you seeing as?
Well, I think within the last 5 years, we've seen, I mean, I'll just say since George Floyd, we've gone from some no SROs to now school districts are starting to bring them back and then some, you know, so you're going through that ebb and flow of that. But I think in some of your bigger cities, you'll see the SROs in that middle school range also, because you're kind of instilling that before they get to that high school level. And that's kind of what the GREAT program that we go at, where you're educating them at the 5th grade level, and then you're seeing them again at the 7th grade level. And that's obviously all at the middle school. But, so I think you'll see in a lot of schools too, you'll have an SRO at a middle school level as well. So you're already getting that early connection with officers before they get that high school level. So I think it obviously goes by funding by school district, but, you know, I'm just seeing a lot of trend of the SRO starting to come back again.
Yes.
I was just wondering, our middle school and high school administrators that we have here, do you is there anything that you would see that you would like to change, just kind of following that, having 1 day a week at the middle school? Do you see a benefit to having more time with an SRO at the middle school? And I don't know, Robin, if there's anything that you are looking for at the high school that isn't currently.
We want our day back.
I would love to have 4 more. I would love to have that relationship being built and sustained. We also kind of bounce that day around so the students never know exactly when it's going to happen. So that while it is a good thing, it's inconsistent. And having one face, one person there every day, you get to know the ebb and flow more intimately and be able to establish those relationships. And like Dan was saying, it's all about getting to know that student, the parent, because you interact with all of them. And then I think if we work with them at a younger age, when they're more amenable, we'll have less issues when we get them up at this level. So I would wholeheartedly support an SRO at the middle school full time.
That's what I was going to ask, and talking with the gentleman beforehand, I think they're down a number of positions, or open positions. Would that be something that?
Well, obviously,
You would entertain
Jim, and I don't
discussion?
want to speak, but as far as hiring, obviously, you know, the school district, that's what they needed, and, you know, it came to a contract. Obviously, I don't want to speak out of turn, but I'm pretty sure we'd try to make that a priority for our department to.
Yeah, so we're in a hiring process right now. We do have a list. We're going to be renewing another hiring process. And if the school district decided that they wanted to have another SRO, we would definitely work to accommodate that as best we could. I think we could definitely accomplish it. I mean, we are short-staffed, but we will be having some new people on. Obviously, for an SRO, we try and get you somebody who's been on for a little while because it's kind of a different environment. We wouldn't just throw you a new officer that just came onto the street. But if it's something you guys are seriously entertaining or looking at, we would definitely work to accomplish a goal of having somebody. And we do have officers that are honestly very interested in becoming an SRO. We have a couple of officers that work very heavily in the community, and they're always on kind of, you know, working with the community and doing, you know, community relations and setting up different charities and things like that. So we have even a couple extra people in the department that are very interested in that type of position, that I think would do very well as well, being an SRO. So yes, I would say if that's what you're looking at, we would accommodate it.
We should probably have a discussion at the personnel meeting sometime, the whole board, or however we want to do it.
But then I will piggyback on that. I know we do have, there's interest within the department. So, you know, personnel wise, we're short numbers, but the goal is to have an SRO that wants to be in the school. So I'm letting you know as a board, there's interest. We have officers interested in that position. So that's key.
But
When I was still teaching, we had an officer, how many days a week was Jeff Blood?
Little
We
Jeff,
had
yeah.
him a lot.
Jeff?
Kids loved him.
Well, you know, and because he was at the middle school, and that
Yeah.
kind of went away, but he made that kind of his passion when he worked patrol. He would be out there every morning.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
so it is exciting for me as a former SRO that there is interest within the rank, that there's people in our department that want to do it.
and it does make a positive difference. It really does.
It's the best job I had in my 22 years of being,
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, I loved it, so
it was the best job you ever had.
I loved it.
Well, didn't you like working with me?
I did, I did, so it was great.
We are hiring.
But being in the school is absolutely, it's a wonderful job, it is, and you gotta have somebody with passion for it, so.
Who was the first SRO in Red Wing schools?
Bill Mellon.
Yeah.
He was a Darrell, he was actually in high school.
Was it Marty?
He was Martin.
Oh, that's cool.
You're cool. Yeah,
Did you
Bill
have a
did,
gift bag or
counteract.
something?
Bill did counteract out there, right opposite of,
Yeah, correct, yeah.
at the middle school. But then we did nothing at the high school. Reminiscing?
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
That's a perfect
Just put
segue.
something, go like this.
That's a perfect segue. So I know that Pat must not have been able to be here today, but he's listed that as someone that was attending tonight, and I really was hoping he'd be here because I'd love to hear more about how our SRO and our school safety coordinator kind of work together. How effective do we feel that is? You know, that was a position that was maybe 3 school years ago, that we created because there was some behavioral issues coming up here in the high school, and we really wanted to nip that in the bud by, you know, finding funds to fund that position. And you know, when we fund a new position, obviously we have to take away from something else, because we are not just given an extra chunk of money and gifted it and said, here, use it however you want. We'd love to have that, but that isn't how it works. So we really had to do some creative financing to make that happen, with the hopes that we could see some changes, positive changes in behavior and incident reports and things. And we really wanted to kind of have come back to the table, let's see how this is working. Is it a good model, or do we need to tweak it somehow? Or do we need it, you know, 2 SROs, 1 at the middle school, 1 at the high school? With that, is that money better spent in that capacity versus a safety coordinator here and an SRO, but only 1 day at the middle school? I think these are bigger conversations than we can answer right now, but I really do think that as a board and as a maybe personnel committee, but I'd really like to have that conversation at the board level to decide, is this the best way that we can serve our community and our kids, or is there a different model that we should be going to? And it has no reflection on Pat Kelly whatsoever. I know he does a great job and is very passionate about the work that he does here. And is this a model that we want to emulate at the middle school? Is this something that we want to continue here? So I'd really love as a board to be able to have that kind of a discussion as well. From your standpoint though, Dan, how do you feel like that works? Are there still holes? Where do you see? Well, I mean, I think not just him as a person, but that position, you know, it has nothing to do with the person. It has to do with the position and the job role and, you know, what
position entails.
Yeah, I think the two positions work pretty well together. Sometimes kids don't wanna necessarily maybe talk to me, and maybe they'll go to somebody else that they're somewhat familiar with. So, I mean, we can team up very well together. And we can feed off of each other to see what, what's going through the students' minds and seeing who would maybe be the best to talk to them. So, I mean, every student's different. And maybe he's built a relationship with this student before I have. And so maybe I can work my way into working with him and that other student too. So, but I mean, I have a good relationship with that, I think. So.
So I'm just thinking out loud here, but, and this is something that Superintendent Wagner and the administrators should maybe have a conversation about, but, is a school safety coordinator, is that something that would be helpful at the middle school? Would it be, good to divide and conquer, like have it, halftime here, halftime there? I mean, I don't know, but if we threw all the pieces up in the air and you could decide how they landed, what would that look like? And, what would each school need? Because I do agree with you. I think that the younger that we can connect with our students and build relationship and rapport, I think that's super important. Instead of always putting out fires up here, we can do a lot of prevention. And so, I just think it's for longer conversation.
Yep, I don't think this is the spot,
No.
because we want to get everybody involved in it. And obviously, the need, if we have the need, then it comes with the cost. There's a contract that we pay a portion, the city pays a portion too. I think Pat Kelly's all borne by us. So that's safety coordinator position, yes.
So what's the difference between the school safety coordinator and the school resource officer?
The school resource officer can arrest.
I would enforce, criminal laws,
Right?
things like that. Yeah, there's obviously different things that I can do that the school safety coordinator can't.
The
Right.
school,
Go ahead.
the school safety coordinator is a district-wide position, though, not just high school, correct? I think,
It could be, I'm not positive, you might be
I'm
right.
pretty sure that's what it is, and he's not just dealing with kids, but also helping to coordinate the buildings, the safety of each of the
Right.
buildings within our district.
You may not be going to each building. Or you may be going to each building, I don't know. That's what you can find out. But yeah, Pat's a retired officer too, so I don't know. if he got his license up.
was an SRO.
Yeah, I don't know if he got his license up or not, so he's on his license. Anything further for these officers?
Dan, I just want to thank you for the time that you put into our kids and just putting up with me. I asked a lot of questions, but I
That's
think that
okay.
the program is valuable. I think the wraparound services that our law enforcement or SRO or our school safety coordinator provide us is pretty significant in a way that, just builds an opportunity for kids to have a positive interaction with law enforcement as opposed to just maybe the disciplinary piece of it. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Well, I want to be here and I enjoy the job. And like I said, I've been a police officer for 23 years and last 3 years I can speak with Brian. It's been my favorite 3 years that I've had working with the kids. So I really enjoy it.
Jim's looking for another Shane's.
Okay, 2005. I can go back.
No, I mean, we
No,
want,
it's been great.
as Mr. Bierman wants, Ms. Grove, Ms. Pagel, and Superintendent Wagner and us, we want our schools to be as safe as possible. Kids can be able to not roam, but go through the places safely and not be worried about this and that. And sometimes having that law enforcement presence makes people feel a little more comfortable. We have to put people outside the bathroom, we'll get back to that again, but just to make sure that they're safe. Mr. Joshua, Mr. Fuchs might have some better ideas, but that's a concern for us, that kids can go there. Don't feel safe going to the bathroom, so
Absolutely.
we're gonna throw it back at you. Help us.
It's a team. It's a team.
I try to be as visible, like I said, I do try to be as visible as possible, but obviously there's a lot of different bathrooms and things like that. I can only be in one spot unfortunately, and yeah,
But we
work
just
at it.
hear from us. So
I work at it.
Appreciate, we hope you guys be safe. Thank you for your service.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Good to see you all. narrative. Yeah, Lisa, that's what I heard. Sarah, thank you for being willing to go second.
Absolutely.
Good evening.
Good evening. So for,
Why don't you tell everybody who you are that's listening out there?
Okay.
And
I am Lisa Ryder. I am new to the district as Director of Finance and Operations. And tonight I will be presenting a finance report and update, which is typical for a workshop each month.
go ahead.
Okay, so the materials that are within the board packet is what I want to walk through. They are not new to you as far as format is concerned. Those look very similar to what I think you've seen. And I'd like to make mention now that should we want to modify anything or change something up, I'm very open to that. I'm just wanting to make sure though that you're getting the information that you're accustomed to initially, and then we can, figure out what it is that you'd like to see maybe differently or are more interested in, and if it's not available to you at this time. The first thing that's in the packet is the treasurer's, it's the dialogue regarding our finances, and this is all a report as of May. So I am saying that we are a month behind. We'll be catching up next time, and that is largely due to the transition, and we'll find that not being an issue once we get moving. So what you see here for the treasurer's report that is attached is for the month of May, as is the investment report. The budget, so these numbers that you see here all come from the information that is presented in the packet that shows up on the reports that are shown by that have the colored formatting from the financial analytics. And so this isn't new either. It is a matter of looking at the received year-to-date column. And I struggled with that myself initially when I looked at that, but it is the received year-to-date you want to pay attention to for the information that we're comparing and contrasting. And the intent of this letter is really to summarize this information so that it's a little bit more understood. In general, the general fund is about 80%, both revenue and expenditures having been received and spent at the end of May. When it comes to the food service fund, that is a bit more delayed when it comes to the revenue, which is typical because that's where we're waiting for the reimbursements for the meals that we have reported. And there's a 60-day time frame for us to report that information. So that's where that delay. That'll catch up here as you look at our June reports then. Our community education fund, as you take a look at that, that's around 85% for revenue and expenditures that you see being received and just expended as of the end of May. When you look at the comparisons to other years, the most significant difference I would say is, they're all pretty close actually. So just a few percentages here and there compared to past years, but a lot of that is just timing. It's a matter of when did the entries get posted and when does that information showing up. When you look at your June report, which will be coming up, and when we get that finalized for audit purposes, then that's really what's going to be your final and what you can rely upon for the year. The enrollment report that is included in your packet, that report is unchanged because the report that you received previously was for the month of May as well, and nothing changed through June because all of your summer enrollment for summer school and such is going to fall into the next year. Okay. So with that, I would like to also touch base on the COVID relief funds. That's on the second page of the packet of information, the narrative. And I've updated it for the amounts that we've drawn to date. I do want to point out the fact that the COVID testing grant, which was round 2 for us, as well as the ESSER 3 pandemic enrollment loss revenue, both of those needed to be drawn down, and that had to happen by mid-July. That has been done. No dollars were left on the table. And that summary pretty much takes you through the materials that are in the packet. If there's any questions.
Do you have any questions? I have a question for the board. Looking at the information that the writer presented, page 7 and 8 are included in the package. She included because that's what we've always had. But it's also on the narrative. Do we need 7 and 8 or just need it in the narrative? And she will between her and Superintendent Wagner will let us know if we're up or down in some area needs addressing. Anybody else? I think To me, the narrative spells better than the actual line items because they'll save you,
So to be clear, you're talking about these reports off from the financial analytics
that's what I'm
system?
talking about for everybody. It's all included in the narrative,
Right,
and we have duplication really, then you struggle to look at it when you're going. and you
right,
get
I'm
read
still
through.
trying to figure out how to read
How to
that
read this?
report and understand it, so the narrative is
Treasurer?
actually more
Yeah,
helpful.
What do you think? Good treasurer?
I still kind of struggle like Therese to try to get through and understand a lot of it. And once Lisa was established here, I really wanted the opportunity to sit down with her and try to understand more about
How it-
those line items and how they all are
Coordinate something,
accumulated.
So you only
and-
have to do it once.
Sure.
So the narrative, we can probably do away with those 7, 8, 9 like that, because it's already included in the narrative for now. We can always add later. Is that okay with the board?
Yes, yeah, I like Rachel, I
Still
still
want
need
to
a
know.
little help understanding
Well,
how all
and,
these pieces fit together.
and I'd be happy to walk through this in more detail, in a more personal setting that we can ask those questions and get that squared away. I just need to make sure I have all the answers first, so give me a couple of weeks on that one if you
But,
would.
I mean, it doesn't have to be tomorrow.
We
We
put
want
you-
you to get settled in
Yep.
and
Thank you.
caught up.
And we have you on board to notice. You know, we don't want to wait till the 11th month to say we're way down on some area. And, you know, if you catch it on the 3rd month, the 6th month, hey, we gotta adjust something here. That's, you know that.
Mhm.
That's save you some time, put stuff together, so.
Okay.
And to be clear, and I don't know if I'm speaking for Rachel, this is about me doing my job,
Mhm.
not that you doing your job. Because I know you're doing your job. I want to be qualified to do my job.
Understood.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa.
Mhm.
All right, the next thing is onboarding new employees. Superintendent, Wayne.
So we are really excited. Assistant Superintendent Allegra is here as well. I don't know if you want to come up and just ad lib with me a little bit. She's
Come
been
on.
working with me. I want to give her a lot of credit here because we have reimagined our onboarding for new teachers. We've gone from 1 to 3 days of onboarding, kind of a wraparound approach to everything you need to know as a new revenue employee, to understanding our creating meeting community and then some breakout sessions to really give some professionalized learning specific to whether or not our teachers are special ed. We're onboarding licensed staff like our new counselors, grade level teachers, content area teachers with mentors. We are in the midst of actually designing a mentorship program with a mentorship coordinator who will be a teacher that is stipend for their time, just to help organize. And so we've been busy with creating a network, so to speak, to really look at other big nine districts and what their mentorship programs look like and what ours could include. The other thing that I think Allegra brings to the table, one of her famous lines is leave the money on the table. The Pelley grant will be released, and that's a mentorship grant that we are going to write a grant for, to be able to really create a robust mentorship program where our mentors can be stipend, and we could look at a more permanent position for mentorship and really give our new teachers onboarding that they deserve, and then also being able to retain our teachers and support professionals or specialized services, so.
You did such a good job, so.
Why don't you introduce yourself? so-
Hello, I'm Allegra Smichek, Assistant Superintendent and Director of Teaching and Learning. You did a wonderful job summarizing. What I'll add is today I was working with Principal Fuchs as well, really looking at our teacher evaluation rubric. And part of the conversations we were having there, kind of extending that wraparound support, how we're supporting new teachers through the process, utilizing our Lindsay, we're workshopping a title for her mentorship coordinator. A big part of this work is retention. So making sure that people feel really supportive, that we're having check-ins with them, that I'm connecting with them in addition to our mentorship coordinator. And supporting our principals in doing that work as well, because they have a lot on their plate. So as we're thinking about a new teacher evaluation tool, how can we support them from the district office to make sure that they're able to do that effectively? And I'm so excited for the new teacher week. There's so many staff members coming in to share information, to support the new teachers as colleagues. It's just really going to be a special day. And as Martina said, we've been talking with Prairie Island. And I personally can't wait for that day. That'll be such great learning for myself too.
Couple of other things just kind of in alignment to that. We had our climate survey last year with our teachers and our support professionals, so the climate focus groups will continue. And so that will be another piece of when you think about retention, when you think about what our lived experience of our existing staff and support professionals. So we'll have two groups for our support professionals. And then our teachers. I've actually had a couple of emails come in recently saying, hey, can I join that, the group? And I said, absolutely. I think the other thing that's really exciting that we want to paint a big picture of is we have a 2-day data retreat with our executive leadership team, including our principals, tomorrow and Wednesday. And a lot of the work we're going to do there is also anchored in wraparounding and recruiting and retention, as well as the work that we did in our district advisory committee. For those of you who are there, we're pulling in our desired lived experiences. So all of the work that we did last year is actually feeding the reasons why, the why behind our mentorship, and then the continuation of the school improvement planning as well. To support our building principals to do what they do best, but also really thinking about what can the district office do to support principals, to support our teacher leaders, to support our teachers, and then ultimately have impact on our students. So there's a method to our madness. We've been working really hard. I'm really proud of the work that Allegra and team have been able to do to really turn this around relatively quickly on a very lean budget. So I look forward to giving you more share out some of that looks like and feels like. Also, the board is also invited to, I believe, on one of the days to join them.
That's it. I'll double check on that.
We can't all come at once because it's a big forum, but you know, you can like.
You're certainly welcome on Monday and Wednesday. I'm not sure about Tuesday, so I don't want to speak out of turn. We would love to have you on.
Welcome, Ms. Osborne.
Question.
This is, sounds very exciting, yes.
How many new folks do we have joining us so far?
We're planning for 35 at Prairie Island,
Mhm.
but that included administrators. So
Yes.
we're at about 25
That sounds
with some
great.
pending positions to fill that we hope we can turn around before Monday. Excuse me.
Bless you. Great, no, it's exciting, you know, we want to help our new staff come on board, you know, and welcome them and retain all of our staff, but anytime we have new ones, we want to make sure we get the best, and we want to do what we can there to help.
Absolutely. One of the best recruitment strategies is the lived experience of your current staff. That's true for student enrollment too. If you.
Nuts and bolts, that's an interesting topic. Could be anything.
Well, you know, if we took the schools upside down, what would shake out?
Yeah.
Those are the things we want to teach about, so we educate. And our, you know, our next generation of teachers are asking hard questions, so when we prepare for that, so we give them the experience that they want. We find that out when we go to job fairs. We ask them what they're looking for, because they can shop around. So how do they, whether in the destination district, which it will become, it is becoming slowly, so we've gotten methodically through the and design. And really, I gotta give it to Allegra and team. They've been working feverishly behind the scenes and updating me. I sneak in sometimes.
Anybody else have anything on this?
One
Yes.
thing, I love the word retention, and we've talked about that at the board level every year that I've been here, but the fact that there's a concerted effort to really be intentional about keeping our great staff. I love that, and to make sure that they are welcomed from the moment they put their name on an application. I think it's so important to make sure that we are retaining our staff, so thank you for being intentional about that.
New ideas? I think it's wonderful. So, I like it. Anybody else have anything else? Anybody? We have some building administrators here. Do you have anything you'd like to add? We have a few extra minutes. You
I
want
would
to come
also
forward
like
then?
to sing the praises of Allegra team.
Come on up here, run up here so we can all hear you. Get your mug in the front and center. Your name too for everybody out there, land listening.
Good afternoon, Patrick Bierman, Twin Bluff Middle School Principal. And I would just like to say that it's been refreshing to work with Allegra and the team and Superintendent Wagner. And not just the onboarding process, but more like a wraparound care for new teachers. Because in looking into this, I found staff members that have worked here for quite some time that had no idea how to do their 403B matching funds. And when we're not doing that kind of something to support folks, it's no wonder we're having an issue. So I applaud the efforts that we're doing. And I think we're gonna be moving forward very well in the next few years.
I think so. Thank you. Well said. Thank you very much.
Hey.
Anybody else, Ms. Girl? No?
I'm not gonna follow Patrick.
No, that's
Sorry, Jen.
That's all right.
We understand. Anybody else on the board or Superintendent Wagner have anything else on this topic?
It's really important to do wraparound for our principals and our executive team. They were involved with a little video shoot this week. So those of you in the community that may or may not have seen district level administrators, building administrators running through town, it was all for a purpose. And so we're super excited for kickoff, which will also be exciting for new existing staff to be welcoming them back. And the joy from that group was contagious. And I realized I could magically get people to do whatever I wanted them to do, and they showed up and Lisa's laughing. Show up in your workout, your running shoes, and we're gonna run through town. And they all showed up happy. So thank you for that. I'm very proud of it.
I was a witness and it looked very happy. Nice outfit.
Thank you.
Was there coffee involved?
I had coffee.
I had coffee at the end. It was about 4 hours of running, so yeah, it was fun. So
It's a great start. Sounds like we have four. I just telling this girl when she walked in, we were the first ones here, and 4 weeks from tomorrow, the bus will be pulling into the schools. And some parents probably wish it was 2 weeks, but it'll be 4 weeks. That's the way it is. And it's exciting, and I know some of the other building principals are here, but we're welcome on any time as a board to come in to the school. I usually just check in with the principal, let them know that I'm here, or whoever's in charge of the building at the time. And first day is kind of nice. I think I directed traffic last year, I think, on the first day. Mr. Griffin said, "You go on, direct traffic." Okay, it was fun. It was a good time. So, and that was out for inside.
They have a new busing system, so come on up.
I did the front door at the high school here. They got every kid but one to say good morning to me. So, very nice.
you were with me at Sunnyside too.
Yeah, we're at Sunnyside. Clipboard now on my hand, so please feel free to stop into the schools if you have time in your day. At some point, year round. They're welcome to like to see what's going on. And even call too, so.
Recess supervision.
Pardon me?
Recess supervision coming out with us.
When it's really cold, right?
Yes.
I'll also give a shout out to Community Ed. I had an opportunity to actually head out to one of the adult basic ed programs, our multilingual program, and they had a certificate of completion for their language growth with a teacher we have hired who works remotely 2 nights a week, and so I was able to go to Lake Pepin and have their graduation kind of get-together ceremony last week, which is amazing. So we'll have, check the e-news, we'll have an article coming out August 11th, so just a shout out for Community Ed.
Yeah. And I'm hearing that the Kids Junction is just busting with the scenes from the kids, so wonderful. Thank you, Community Ed, and everybody that handles the Kids Junction program, so. Anything else on this topic? Otherwise, we'll go into other topics that we want. We have about 10 minutes, good 5 minutes, and we'll take a couple of break before our meeting at 6. So, okay, anybody else have anything else real quickly they want to not jump on, but bring up or We have another meeting this month before the start of school too, so. All right, Mayor and none. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Bjornsted, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Roll. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. We'll start at 6 o'clock straight up. Thank you.
Oh, sorry, I have a voice again, sorry.
Okay.
A little froggy still, but better.
I keep accidentally
This has concluded our workshop. I'll now call the regular school board meeting for Monday, August 7th, 2023. It is 6 o'clock to order. All present except for Ms. Buck, who has already told us she had another commitment, along with Superintendent Wagner. Are all here. Superintendent Wagner is here, along with the rest of the board members. So, we have the meeting agenda. I think we have one item we're going to pull off. Is that correct, Ms. Rowe?
Yes, I'd like to, under business item number 2, the Assistant Director of Education, and we'd like to pull that and bring that back to the Personnel Committee for further discussion before we bring it to the board.
Okay.
And then actually, I'd also like to add, and it can go under administrative reports perhaps, just an update on where we're at with the land sale.
Yep. I was gonna put that down, so thank you. Under school board reports, I'm just gonna talk about complacency and seating arrangements. We're gonna try something new. We're gonna move people around periodically. So when you come in here next time, you may not be where you're at tonight. You may, but you may not be. Okay? Just gonna, so we don't get, like, everybody sits in the back row at church. We don't wanna get into that. So we wanna do that. All right, anything else? I'll entertain a motion to approve the amended agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Burns and Ms. Tiff. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Ostendorf. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, our educational plan is front and center every meeting of our board meetings here. And Ms. Ostendorf is gonna read our mission statement.
The mission of the Red Wing Public Schools is to educate and inspire all students as they realize their full potential and become respectful, responsible, and productive citizens.
Thank you very much. Recognitions and upcoming events. Anybody have anything?
I have
Yes.
something.
Yours good.
This year, every year, we have kids that take AP tests. And this year, Jeff Chalmers had 14 out of 14 kids who took the AP test pass. And in all the years, he worked so hard to help get those kids ready. This is the first time he's had 100%. And I got this, he's my friend, but I got permission to share it because it's a big deal.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It is. Anybody else have anything else? I don't think I have anything. Do I have? We have 4 weeks and a day till school starts. And I think we have sports sign up coming up here, I think, isn't it? Probably next week. Anybody else? Anybody know that for sure?
It's open right now.
It's open online?
Yep.
Tomorrow is the meeting.
Fall Spring Sports is open online tomorrow. 6 p.m.
And now the new gym floor, is that all completed?
We need a couple more layers of,
Oxy or whatever?
I was gonna say shellac, it's not a word. It looks beautiful, we have the RW, a little bit of a heathered purple, so, it looks updated, it's Alan and Paul and team have done a nice job of taking a look at that. I have 2 recognitions.
Go right ahead.
One, I want to give a shout out to the Red Wing Royal Ambassadors at River City Days. We had 3 of our students, Brianna Tix, Emma Hoffman, and Kylie Kohler, representing from Red Wing Public Schools. So, came across my desk. Also, recently we did have a nomination for the Elementary Art Educator Award. Leah Harris is our art teacher at Burnside Elementary, and she was nominated and had gotten a lovely letter from Miss Grove. I'm just gonna read one part of it, because I think it just highlights what is happening at Burnside, but Jen did write that when you walk into Leah's classroom, her routines and procedures are evident. Her classroom is bright and organized, and she assumes nothing. She teaches her students what they need to know to get along successfully in the classroom. Leah has established clear routines that allow the students learning, and she gives them the vocabulary and objectives they need to know that they're learning as well. And then she reinforces this with her instruction. She creates a positive classroom environment, which is based on respect for teams and good relationships. If you walk through Burnside, there is a very different vibe with the artwork here, and I believe, and this girl is with us, I believe it's Leah's work, but I think the environment there also cultivates that, so we are proud of all of our art instructors in the district, but we're super proud of Leah, so we give her a shout out for that. So we wish her well. She's nominated for this award, so we'll see what happens.
She was nominated by Kristen Bray, one of our high school art teachers, which was a really great shout out. There's a lot of collegiality here. Burnside looks fantastic. Come in about January when it's cold and dark outside, and you will only see bright colors and just a lot of welcoming from what those classes do, so.
So thank you, Leah Harris. Those are my two just recognitions that come across my desk, and I'm super proud of them.
Okay, I can't think of what I had. I will come to something else, spit it out during the meeting. How's that sound? Any public comment? Ms. Wagner? I did not receive any emails, and nothing here according to Mr. Bierman back there. We'll move on. School board reports. Anybody have any school board reports?
For negotiations, we're playing along. We just had a meeting this last week with the food service, and we are continuing with custodians.
I had an LLC meeting. Bearer of bad news. Projected 17% healthcare increase. So Ms. Ryder and I were in the building at the same time. Ms. Superintendent Wagner was listening also at another venue. And we're working at options there, but it's driven by a certain way. We now have scheduled meetings monthly on the third Monday of the month at 4:00 to kind of, after this one, starting in September, to kind of get our hands around it. We talked about the Well at Work clinic and looking at different, possibly, I think we're looking at bidding it out, I thought, but I don't have my notes with me, I forgot that. But looking at that whole option, how we can do that and getting people more in there. We're just getting some, we didn't get any usage numbers yet, that because of we had some earlier on when they extended the time, but I didn't hear, I don't recall what we had yet. I don't think we got to that much, because we had an hour as to that, but, that's a projection on the healthcare increase for, Blue Cross Blue Shield. Yeah, so. If anybody wants to be on that committee, I'll certainly step aside. Okay, there are no volunteers, we'll move on.
Yeah, I have a GCD report, not a volunteer.
Go ahead.
GCD is also working on, or Sherry is working on a mentorship program for new teachers to attract and retain there as well. And that impacts, of course, Red Wing because of the therapy services and special ed directors. So I think that's a good thing. And it's a 3-phase plan. So your first year is one program, and then the second year, a little bit more than the third year. So I think that will help us there too, and here.
Okay, thank you. Moving on, administrative reports.
Yeah, so we had our first Wagner Wednesday on July 26th, and I think it makes sense. We filled up Mandy's, probably more than they anticipated, but they're very gracious with their space. It was rapid fire of questions until we decided to turn it around and ask what kind of ideas would you like to put into the space. I want to give a shout out to my principals that showed up to kind of support the dialogue, which kind of wrapped around how we're working together, so that's exciting. The next Wagner Wednesday is August 23rd at 3 p.m. at Liberty, so we are prepared with space there for people who would like to join. It is open to everybody. That was just one misconception, that it was invite only, and that's not the case. It's open to everybody. Ann Robertson and I are looking at how we can be in different parts of the community at different times, entertaining possibly weekends as well for those families that need the times that we offer don't work. So Wagner Wednesdays are a hit so far. Shout out to also my high school staff and leadership team, executive leadership team. We had our first bar training, August 1st and 2nd at the barn. And bars are building asset reducing risk model that will be really kind of a component piece to wrap around looking at all students that enter right now, 8th and 9th grade, with the hope to build it to 10, 11, 12. It's really just a systematic way to ensure that every kid is spoken about, that we're thinking about how are they performing in school, socially, emotionally, behaviorally, academically. Our teachers are also being trained in providing some SEL cooperative structures just to connect with every kid that comes through as well. So we're really thinking purposely about wrapping around our services differently than we have been in the past, just to ensure that we have the right pieces in place as kids are navigating high school. So it's for every kid. It's not designed just to capture kids who are demonstrating some need. It's just really ensuring that the lived experience of our students as they navigate right now, 8th and 9th grade, and then building up over the course of the next few years is in place. And there's lots of excitement with the high school for this, and so we're hoping to build it into a robust program model for what we need at the high school. I already talked about new teacher training at workshop, but just quickly, August 14th, 15th, and 16th is our 3-day new teacher onboarding and training, pretty comprehensive. And then in addition to that, our mentorship program is looking similar to what you shared out, Teresa, which is a year 1, year 2, year 3. With a mentorship coordinator, we're looking into applying for some grants to be able to fund that position as well. So those are some administrative updates.
About the land sale, okay.
Land sale, so we have a meeting tomorrow with Tribal at Prairie Island, so I believe Board Chair Bryant, Roe, myself, a couple of other administrators are going to have a conversation about where we're at with the land sale and some timelines and interest, and just to create this conversation about the parcel of land and then where everybody's at with their ideation of what next steps are for that land. So we should be able to come back with more information soon, but tomorrow that meeting happens in the afternoon.
Were we able to discuss, our legal, responsibilities for the RFP with our?
There is, we can rescind, we can take the offer, or we can essentially let that whole RFP go. There isn't any legal obligation to it, there's no timeline, they can call on that.
Okay, good.
Maybe after the board meeting, so the guidance says it's really still in our hands, so. Likewise for the party who did put the bid, can also hold their bid up as well.
Any further questions? Yes.
Are you able to share any of the topics that were discussed at Wagner Wednesdays? Is there anything that stood out to you as an interest in the community?
High school, we talked about quite a bit. Just my vision for the school district is a common theme that comes up. Some of the others of you that are in, like Patrick, you were there too, so shout out some of the things that you heard. My background was really interesting. They were wondering a little bit about who I was. And then we shifted kind of halfway through, Trees, were you there? To co-creation of solutions for things or ideas that the community may have that would benefit. That's just kind of an approach I always take with, there's not one person who resolve the problems, but it was also highlighting some of the successes too and ensuring that the narrative is also doing great things in the school district as well. So, I think one takeaway is to really be cognizant of, as I'm working with Ann Robertson, about ensuring that we have multiple voices at the table and ensuring that we have multiple opportunities to have different diversified voices at the table. And so that was an underlying thing that is important to me, but one that we should be cognizant of as we're scheduling.
Thank you.
Good. Anything else? Okay, consent agenda. Anybody have anything they wish to over discuss?
You already pulled something.
That was on the
That
business
was
side.
something different.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda then?
I will move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Motion by Ms. Tiff, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Schoenfelder. Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. SRTS Safe Routes to School Boost Resolution, Principal Grove. Introduce yourselves, please. Good afternoon, good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome.
My name is Jennifer Grove. I am principal at Burnside Elementary, and I am excited to be here with Sarah Dawson.
Who?
Sarah Dawson, I am in, public health with the county.
In previous school board meetings, we've discussed safe routes to school, and I know that you have had some things on your board agenda. I hope you've had a chance to kind of look through those. As we know where Burnside is, it's really difficult to walk or ride your bike. Generally, about 20% of any school population between K and 8 walk or ride their bikes now, but because we are where we are, we have even fewer students. And so there was a study done, and there were a lot of recommendations that were made. And one of the recommendations that was made was for us to go forward in conjunction with Goodhue County to write a grant for a bunch of bikes and a trailer and everything that kind of goes along with those bikes. We're a really pretty safe area to ride bikes. If you think about behind the building where we have those, the loop around, we have a unique opportunity. And we were awarded a grant for $38,600 for all of those things. Want to say anything about that?
I don't know if you wanted to know like the specifics of like where that money is going to, but
Sure.
yeah, we're really excited that it was all approved and excited to spend it.
Yes, we are.
What is it earmarked for, or?
So there will be about 30 or 40 bikes that are within this trailer to store, because storage is an issue out of Burnside. There will also be a couple of adaptive bikes that are part of the package. There will be things like bike helmets, that sort of thing, and that trailer will be able to be moved. We are looking forward to that because we'll also have an opportunity to have staff trained on the Walk Bike Fun curriculum that the state has. And that'll just teach our students how to ride their bike safely. So we were really looking forward to that. And an additional piece of this is that we were granted some money to outfit our,
The crossing
yeah,
guard.
thanks, lost the word. So nervous. With more fun outfits and things, maybe some more blaze orange.
So are these bikes to use at school, not to get to school?
Not to get to school. So this is an opportunity where we can just really use it as part of our curriculum. There are some opportunities for us to always work with the city and the county. Maybe we take the bikes down for the bike rodeo, those sorts of things. So, and another great thing I think would be the opportunity for us to have some bike riding field trips, right? It's going to take a lot less time to get to AP Anderson by bike than it would if we were walking down there. So that gives us just some more opportunities to be outside.
And go ahead.
Are you thinking that the biking would be part of like the FIAD curriculum or like recess, or how do you envision that working into your school day?
Probably a little bit of both, right? We do want to have some opportunities for everybody to be able to use it, both in a structured manner and just the opportunity to ride a bike, to learn how to ride a bike. And I do, again, think that we're pretty lucky where we are situated. Emmett Road is typically pretty dead, when it's during the school day, so we don't have to worry about extra traffic.
Nice and quiet.
Yeah.
And there's the trail there too.
Yes.
This one.
I know that in the past, the safes, the grants, the Safe Route to Schools, sometimes they can also provide funding for signage. Is that true?
Yes, usually for the infrastructure grant, so this is just a boost grant, which is gonna be non-infrastructure
Okay,
related.
so it's different, because I always think, because I live in that neighborhood and I come down the hill and I always think there should be a blinking light at
Yes.
that cross
It's in the plan.
block. So,
Those are things that are in the works.
okay,
This grant was just part of a recommendation for next steps.
and there are a variety of sizes too, I'm assuming, and awesome.
Who maintains them then, like yearly, who maintains them?
I think that is going to be where I'm going to have to get pretty creative. How do we do that? Do I look to the high school and Flight Paths to help us with that? You look to do some community members who are really good at fixing bikes and just maintaining bikes, so that is something.
Go ahead.
Southeast has like a bike program.
Right,
Bike
bike
repair
building,
program or something.
repair.
I don't know.
Yeah. That would be,
Who does?
Well, thank you for those.
The Minnesota State College Southeast.
yes.
And there's also a little bit in the funds that go, that's set aside for bike maintenance too.
And when does this start?
Well, first, what we need from the school board is a resolution for Dr. Wagner to enter into a contract with MnDOT for this.
And that's not with us today.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Mhm.
I've passed it over. Okay. Another thing, maybe on Wednesdays, you can ask people in the community when they show up if they want, if anybody's willing to, contact this girl and see if they can volunteer for bike maintenance if they need it.
Or even just class, or even just helping out in that class, in those PE classes or at recess, that'd be great.
Air 55 might be a good one too, the seniors. Okay, go ahead, you have something?
No, I just, was super excited to see this come through, and so thank you for all your efforts on this, and I look forward to seeing all the kids on bikes.
I would like to say that Sarah and Jessica Seide and Gina Johnson were just really integral with this process. I had no idea what I was doing, so they were very, very helpful, and I'm grateful to them.
Thank you for doing that, appreciate it. I know the city's doing a SAFE grant for schools around, like here and that, and down to the middle school. So this is nice for out the Burnside to help.
Yeah, and it's part of that.
Yeah.
So Jay is also part of the whole, Jay Owens is.
Great.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution as presented.
Okay, motion by Ms. Osendorf, approve the resolution. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Schoenfelder. Any discussion? It's about the safe award, we're awarding the safe routes grant and the bikes for $38,600 for grant. Thank you very much for submitting that. All in favor, signify, roll call vote. Thank you. Ms. Bjornsted.
Aye.
Ms. Tiff.
Aye.
Ms. Rowland.
Aye.
Ms. Osendorf.
Aye.
Ms. Schoenfelder. Chair votes aye. Thank you for reminding me. Thank you. We'll get that. We'll pass the resolution. Anything further?
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. For the good work.
Thank you.
All right, we passed up number 2. We'll move that to a future meeting. Next topic is Plymouth Middle School and Reading High School start and end times.
So, I don't know if Patrick had to come up, I mean, I can talk about it. So it took a little bit of time to reflect on last board meeting, we talked about, we had kind of motion on start times for Twin Bluff North High School. So I pulled in Mr. Hughes and Mr. Goodman, as well as Terry from Transportation and the routers. And we were able to come to a comfortable consensus of start and end times, which was a little bit more conducive. So rather than ending at the high school, we kind of did first the end time. So proposing right now that a Twin Bluff Middle School start time would be 8:45 a.m. This is student time, with an end time of 3:40. And then the high school start time with a 3:20 end time. So between Patrick and Joshua, they had organized their instructional days, or their instructional day with the minutes. We were able to meet with Kirby and the union to ensure that it actually satisfied the contract agreements for teachers. We have looked at the total number of instructional minutes would actually be Twin Bluff with about 390 instructional minutes and high school 320. With that being said, over the course of the school year, we also took into account, should we have inclement weather, snow days, the e-learning days, so we still have a buffer with that. A little bit more at Twin Bluff than we do at the high school, but enough that even if we would have a winter like last winter, we would still not have to extend the instructional day or extend in the school year. Now, that of course is barring any extreme weather that we could have, but based on the input from the board and some community members about end-of-day activities, work commitments, sports, and those pieces, we did think critically about high school ending just a bit earlier than the middle school.
And we also looked at the transportation and the traffic flow patterns at the end of the day and made some adjustments of how things will be handled at the high school specifically. And that should help to alleviate the backlog here. Busing will be actually moved to the front of the building now, I believe, here to allow them easy access and right turn only out, which will limit the amount of backstop and get them down to the middle school on time. So our middle schoolers, when they walk out of the building, the buses are waiting for them. And we kind of left a little bit of a cushion there to allow the buses to get there on time. It averages about 3 to 3 minutes and 45 seconds for the transfer time, including one red light. And we did about 8 minutes to make sure that we have enough time, because we don't want 300 plus middle schoolers waiting on busing. Nobody wants that.
The other thing we did to the point of pickup and drop off is more signage. And so it will be hopefully a seamless transition as we're training everybody to understand drop off, pickup, and then the busing situation too. So we're very purposeful about almost having layered start and end time, and then capitalizing on the transition time between the two schools to make it feasible and realistic to the needs that Patrick does have at the middle school too. So I'm very gracious for him accommodating a switch like that too. So.
Yes.
Is that something we could do a little video or something that we could push out on social media? So that before school starts, people are looking at, hey, this is how the pickup will go, and drive people through it?
I'm still, I'm assuming the high school is as well. We're waiting on the signage to arrive, but I plan on doing something similar to that and then sending the message out through our messenger service to every parent.
Right.
And it's already in my slide deck for the 5th grade welcome.
Okay.
So yes, plans are in the works.
People will share that. I think sometimes people go to Facebook before they will call us. And so if we can put it out, I know, it's shocking. But if we could get that on the high school and middle school's Facebook pages.
Or maybe do something in the e-news.
Yeah.
As well.
I just think the more you publicize it.
And I have enough yellow vests that each of you could come and I can keep you separated, directing traffic so you don't have a quorum. So you're more than welcome to come help with that.
I'll be there Tuesday morning, the 5th, 6th, whatever that is. Anybody else have any questions? I think my question was answered, the 20-minute gap between school ending here and there and that. Some of it doesn't have anybody in school, but here, listen to people that have people in school, getting out a half hour earlier, gotta help. Am I right? Better than not, better than 15 minutes, right? So, kudos.
Yeah, I really appreciate the extra amount of work put into this to make it happen. I think a lot of families in the community would really appreciate it, and students.
And busy summer student employees. Love to have them come to work at 4.
What's that?
Who would love to have them be at work at 4.
And it also helps kids that leave for different things besides just work too. So, it helps. We want them to learn, get them in school as much as possible. Is there do we have the recommendation there? Is there a motion to approve?
Sure, I move to approve the 23-24 start and end times for Twin Bluff Middle School and Red Wing High School as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Tiff, motion by Ms. Roll, second by Ms. Tiff. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Final reading of policy 516, student medication, policy 516.5, overdose medication.
So this is the final reading specifically related to our student medication, which includes the drug Narcan. So we had the first two readings and really moving into the MSBA language that was presented with this policy in the last two sessions.
Any questions?
I will make a motion to approve the revisions to policy 516 and adopt policy 516.5 as presented.
Motion by Ms. Tiff, is there a second? Second by Ms. Ossendorf. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Second reading, Minnesota policy revisions from the 2023 legislative updates.
So
Superintendent Wagner.
this section, again, is the policy, the model policies that MSBA has presented. We've chunked them out just to kind of make them a little bit more manageable. So the policy numbers are listed here. For your second reading, new revisions.
These are all from the wisdom of the legislature. Any questions? Second reading, okay. We have first reading, Minnesota policy revisions.
So this is the second chunk. There's just so many that are coming through that we, as a personnel agenda, we decided to chunk them out for review. Again, model revisions based on MSBA's recommendations for these 7.
Any questions? Hearing none, we'll move on to policy 504, student dress and appearance.
This one's just a little bit different. They did not provide us, MSBA did not provide us a red line, rather some recommendations for us to take a little bit of time to compare our current policy for students' dress and appearance. I think the biggest thing, if you have been able to read through this, is actually the language that we're using, from appropriate to what we might deem not adequate, but actually looking at our dress code from a different perspective as opposed to deeming what would be appropriate and what is not appropriate. Again, MSBA is just getting some guidelines and recommends that they actually sit down and compare and contrast what we would like our language to reflect in our policy.
Okay, any questions on that? Yes, Kristen.
Could we go forward and have a new policy put together, an example of what it would look like for us if to go this route?
A lot of it's semantics, so it's really like looking at the terms appropriate and inappropriate and what does it actually constitute, especially when you're thinking from a cultural perspective. It does talk a lot about our Native American dress and what we will allow as well. So it's going to be looking at the cultural component pieces there. So we can create our own dress code. Again, it's the semantics and the language that we want to be appropriate for our specific policy. So we can work on something like that and present it at least at the personnel agenda for the
We're meeting next Monday, I think, Monday afternoon.
I think we do have to have somebody put something together because our current dress policy is not adequate.
Is that policy in the student handbook, student parent handbook? So is that something that we would need to hurry on if we are going to change it for the school year?
It's at least paraphrased in there and referred to.
We're also working on hyperlinks, right?
And supplemental, so I mean, those things kind of change.
But I think we'll get it changed in time to get it out in the student handbook, but to do an amendment to it. But good discussion.
I think there are questions at the high school especially about what is recommended. I know that it says in the policy, no hats, yet the high school has allowed hats the last couple of years. So there are just some things that really need to be clarified in addition to the appropriate language, which I think needs to be taken out. Could we, I mean, I see the need to get it sooner than later because school starts in 4 weeks. But could we have this as a workshop topic where we could, dive into it a little bit more? Yeah.
And we could, does it qualify for an emergency policy? I don't. Well, if it doesn't talk about, like we did that for the drugs and stuff like that, medications, stuff, it does. But yeah, we'll bring it back, we'll put it on, we'll squeeze it into the next workshop. How's that sound?
Yes.
And we'll just try to get something out there. Okay? Good discussion.
Could we maybe get, I feel like I've read a copy of the new model policy somewhere for dress code appearance.
There's one in the packet, there's one in the packet for those changes.
Okay, that's probably good.
It's just not redlined.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
In the e-packet, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a,
Yes,
It just needs to be kind of combined with what we have.
Right,
determine
and that's-
what's right for everybody.
right. And when I was reading that, there were things in there that I thought, wait.
okay.
Well, I think we can probably, for the workshop, come with something prepared, and then we can work off of that. To just fine tune it and then, adopt it at the agenda, at the regular meeting. Is that too soon of a
We're
turnaround?
gonna need a second reading of third reading vote. So I
That's what I'm
think-
thinking. Probably do.
Yeah, you're,
We're
So
changing it.
unless the administration would feel comfortable saying, you know, the school board is in the process of approving a new policy, we will not enforce the old policy, but will be, you know, if there's some way that the administration could say that.
Well, we could do something in
You
lieu of
know.
the handbook right now, just to have it get through. We're kind of in the 11th hour.
Yeah,
And
it's
it's,
great.
and it's a matter of time, you know, we have to
Right.
thoughtfully go through and have the right people.
And really, it's the middle school mainly and, the high school mainly, I'm not saying totally. Okay,
and how do we include those administrators in this so that we are not creating a policy that becomes a mess for them to enforce?
we shouldn't be creating a policy. They should-
Right.
They should be bringing something to us.
Right,
And I can also bring this to executive committee to talk through, so we just met today, so we'll have to call it an emergency session. But I do, I mean, to have my building administrators part of this, I think is important.
right.
Yeah, absolutely. They could be here for that workshop too, so then they can point out if there's things that they think are gonna be problematic or, you know, things they think are missing or whatever.
Sounds good?
Yeah, the worst thing you can have for young people who are striving to be independent and make their place in the world is an inconsistently enforced policy or a policy that's impossible to enforce. It creates climate issues and you don't want those.
Well, and the policy that's currently in place isn't enforced because it says no hats, but
Right,
hats are worn, or no hoodies, but hoodies are worn, so, you know, we have to be consistent with what's written versus what we're gonna be allowing,
right.
Everybody respects consistency.
Yeah.
So won't be treated differently. Okay, legislation on mascot, Superintendent Wade.
So in the recent round of legislation, one of the laws that has passed the use of native mascots in Minnesota public schools. So anything that is reflective of a symbol or an image that depicts or refers to American Indian tribe, for example, in our current red and logo is the quill or the feather. Our mascot is also the winner, so thinking about not necessarily changing the mascot, we just need to be reflective of the policy that now, the legislation that now has asked that we are considerate of the eleven tribal nations. So we are not qualified for an exemption because we're not more than 5% state and income students. We can request an exemption, but we have to have the approval of the 11 tribal nations to continue with, more specifically, right now, the feather. We have reached out to Great Island for input, so we've been in dialogue with them. We haven't heard much about the feather. We did hear a little bit more about the winner, the eagle, on the gymnasium floor, and it being stepped on in a way. Hence our floor is responsive, in the 11th hour, we're able to be responsive to update to the June 4 with ROW, which just turned out very nicely. But I just wanted to bring this to the attention of the board because as we are reimagining with our Maxim and with our website, we have at this point pulled out the quill, just to be responsive, but wanted to have an open discussion about this coming from the definition, so.
Anybody want to ask the 11 tribes for exemption? Pull it out and ask for the exemption, does everybody like it, to pull it out totally?
I don't know, I don't understand really how
It's a law, so.
a feather though is.
I was wondering the same with when I look at it, or look just on their paper here, that doesn't look to me like an eagle feather, it
It just says feather, it doesn't have to say, it is a quill. I would recommend more conversations with Prairie Island at this point, with their recommendation with us moving forward. Because it will have to go through the process of 11 tribal nations too. All 11 would have to approve that we continue with the quill or the feather. I can bring back more information to the group too.
I think that would be good. You had mentioned building their bird. Is there an issue with that other than the gym floor?
Only the gym floor is what came up, is the stepping on the actual Eagle Village, not necessarily the weird mirrors.
Oh.
So, right now we're kind of looking at just the logo, the reimagined facelifted logo also includes the quill. So we're really kind of looking at designing one with or without the quill, and then with the new Maxim coming. The Maxim is just our language that we'll have on our new website. There's more ongoing conversations here. We are working behind the scenes to determine, what do we have with other things right now.
We can just ask them tomorrow too, maybe if they've got time to consider it. All right. MSBA post-hiring workshop, if you recall, during the hiring of the superintendent, Barb Dorn mentioned that come in the fall, they do a post-hiring workshop. And she estimates it'd be about 2 hours long. And, we'll probably, I gave her some dates she has blocked off. We'd have to start at 4 o'clock instead of 5 o'clock. The dates are September 18th, October 2nd, and October 16th. They're all Mondays, I think, aren't they? Maybe the 16th is a Tuesday?
Can you say them again?
No, it's a Monday.
Are they all school board? Could you say the dates again?
September 18th, October 2nd, October 16th. The regular school board meetings and workshop meeting dates. We would just have to come at 4 o'clock instead of 5 o'clock. What works best for the board? Which doesn't work for the board? I'd probably go that way. Any dates that you have that you aren't planning on being here?
So I will miss the meetings on the 2nd and 16th, but it's because I have a class that starts at 6. I actually could be here at 4. I could be here for that. I just won't be here for the actual meeting at 6.
Does the 18th work for everybody?
September.
September 18th.
Yeah.
Is that what you do then?
Yeah, that would, yeah.
You want everybody involved?
Yeah, I could be here for the other 2 as well. It's just that I won't be here for the rest of the meetings. It's just a little silly, but it's
No problem.
I think sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I think so.
Let's get her done, as they say. The 18th, we'll let Barb know that we'll meet on the 18th, unless Superintendent Wagner wants to let her know by email, and she'll probably be virtual. She won't be here, but she might, she has some documents that she probably can give us too, so. She has some things, so she may just mail those or bring them personally.
So that will start at 4.
That'll start at 4, and that'll be our workshop,
Right.
during our whole workshop. There will be no other workshop topic that night.
Do we have to, officially vote on that since we voted on their yearly calendar already?
But it's a regular meeting. I mean, we'll just post it as the workshop starting at 5 instead of 4. So yeah, that's a 5 and 4 instead of 5. It's a regular date. Yeah, we'll probably have to call it as a special meeting since that's the only topic anyway. That'll qualify.
Yeah, It would have to be a special meeting.
So we'll just have Lisa post that then. Superintendent, there's a special meeting at 4 o'clock on the 18th. That'll be our one-on-one topic. We'll probably have we should have a motion then to approve that. Recommendations to authorize. Is there a motion?
Yeah, so moved to authorize a special meeting on the 18th of September, starting at 4 PM, regarding SBA post-hiring.
Is there a second? Second by Ms. Bjornsted, motion by Ms. Rose, second by Ms. Bjornsted. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Do you want to notify Barb, please? Okay, we now gonna, go into closed session pursuant to Minnesota statute 13D.02 labor negotiation strategy. So we'll start that. We have to do a motion to
Close the meeting.
close this meeting, and we'll do the, closed session in about 6 minutes, 6:52, we'll start that. Is there a motion to close go into closed session? Is that what you said?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Oscar. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Tip. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. All right. Thank you.
So do we leave this meeting?
Yep.
I'm so sorry.